The message arrived on every screen across Earth simultaneously, from Times Square's massive billboards to the smallest smartwatch in rural Mongolia. The same words blazed in an otherworldly script that somehow translated itself into every human language. Your planet is now part of the Galactic Empire. Resistance is futile. Prepare for integration. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the UN Security Council chamber, her weathered hands gripping the podium as she addressed the emergency session. The room buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from every nation huddled together, former rivalries forgotten in the face of this unprecedented threat. Through the grand windows, the massive alien ships loomed in the sky like dark mountains, their hulls reflecting the morning sun with an almost beautiful menace. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment, "I've spent 30 years studying deep space signals and preparing Earth for potential first contact. But nothing could have prepared us for this." She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the chamber. "They expect us to surrender without a fight. They think we're just another primitive species to add to their collection. But they don't know humans very well, do they?" A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. On the screens behind her, tactical displays showed the alien fleet's position, 27 vessels, each larger than the largest Earth cities, arranged in a perfect geometric pattern around the planet. Their technology was centuries ahead of humanity's best achievements, but something about their approach bothered Sarah. It was too textbook, too by the numbers. "Our analysis of their communication patterns reveals something interesting," she continued, pulling up new data. "They've done this before, hundreds of times. It's a standardized conquest protocol. And that's their weakness. They're not expecting anything different this time." The delegates leaned forward as Sarah revealed the plan that had been developed in secret over the last 72 hours. It was audacious, perhaps even insane, but it played to humanity's greatest strengths: creativity, adaptability, and our absolute refusal to follow anyone else's rules. In orbit, Lieutenant Commander David O'Connor floated in the International Space Station, recording what might be his final log entry. "They think size matters. They think their big ships and advanced tech mean they've already won. But you know what?" He smiled into the camera, his eyes twinkling with the same spirit that had taken humanity from caves to the stars. "History is full of empires that made that same mistake. Back on Earth, in underground bunkers and hidden facilities across the globe, Operation Porcupine was already in motion. Humanity might be outgunned, but we had home field advantage and something the Galactic Empire had never encountered before, a species crazy enough to look at impossible odds and say, 'Watch this.' The aliens had given Earth 48 hours to surrender. They expected to receive a meek acceptance of their terms, just as they had from countless worlds before. Instead, Admiral Chen typed out humanity's response on behalf of all Earth's nations. "Thank you for your interest in acquiring Earth. Unfortunately, we must decline your generous offer. Please remove your ships from our orbit immediately. This will be your only warning." As she hit send, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The Galactic Empire was about to learn a very important lesson. Never underestimate a species that went from horse-drawn carriages to nuclear power in less than 2 centuries. Earth wasn't just another prize to be claimed. We were humanity, and we were about to introduce a little chaos into their perfectly ordered empire. The next 12 hours saw humanity show its true colors. Instead of panic in the streets, people worldwide adapted with remarkable speed. Neighborhood watch groups organized supply chains. Retired military veterans volunteered their expertise. University students worked alongside their professors to decrypt alien transmissions. Even children contributed, their video game skills proving surprisingly useful in modeling potential defense scenarios. In her private office at UN headquarters, Admiral Chen reviewed the latest updates from Operation Porcupine. The plan was absolutely insane. Exactly why it might work. The aliens had mapped every missile silo, every military installation, and every obvious defense system on Earth, but they hadn't accounted for human ingenuity or our talent for turning ordinary things into extraordinary weapons. Status report on Phase 1. She spoke into the secure comm link. The response came from Dr. Richard Hayes, leading the scientific team in Geneva. We've analyzed their shield frequencies, Admiral. They're using standardized patterns. Probably haven't updated them in centuries. Why bother when no one's ever broken them before? She could hear the excitement in his voice. But here's the beautiful part. They're vulnerable to something so simple. They never thought to defend against it. Meanwhile, in low Earth orbit, Lieutenant Commander O'Connor and his team were implementing their part of the plan. The International Space Station, previously considered a potential liability, was being transformed into humanity's first line of defense. They're watching us like hawks, O'Connor reported, while supposedly carrying out routine maintenance. But they're only looking for weapons. They don't realize that in space, anything can be a weapon if you're creative enough. The alien ships maintained their perfect formation, their commanders probably confident in their superior technology and overwhelming firepower. They conquered thousands of worlds this way. Why should Earth be any different? But they'd made a crucial mistake in their calculations. Their tactical computers had analyzed Earth's military capabilities, our technological level, our defensive installations. What they couldn't quantify was human stubbornness, our refusal to accept impossible odds, our ability to think outside any box they tried to put us in. In hidden facilities beneath the world's oceans, engineers worked frantically to modify everyday technology in ways the aliens would never expect. The Galactic Empire's ships could easily detect nuclear launches or energy weapons, but their sensors weren't calibrated to notice the thousands of tiny modifications humanity was making to seemingly harmless civilian infrastructure. They expect us to either surrender or launch a conventional attack, Admiral Chen explained to the Emergency Council. Their entire conquest protocol is built around these two possibilities, but humanity has always excelled at finding door number 3. She brought up a holographic display showing the locations of key Operation Porcupine assets. When they came here, they thought they were following their standard playbook. Instead, they've trapped themselves in ours. A junior officer rushed in with urgent news from the astronomical observation stations. The alien fleet was shifting position, probably preparing for what they thought would be Earth's inevitably futile resistance. They still hadn't noticed that while their attention was focused on military bases and government installations, ordinary citizens worldwide were quietly repositioning millions of seemingly innocent pieces of technology, creating a web that would turn Earth's entire infrastructure into one massive, interconnected defense system. As the deadline for Earth's surrender ticked closer, Admiral Chen received a priority message from Dr. Hayes. The final pieces are in place, it read. Waiting for your signal to initiate Operation Porcupine. She looked out her window at the alien ships still hovering in the sky like dark thunderclouds. Soon they would learn why you should never corner a species that turned the split atom into a power source and figured out how to leave their planet using controlled explosions. With just 3 hours remaining until the Empire's deadline, Earth's atmosphere crackled with tension. The alien ships had begun emitting strange energy signatures, probably warming up their weapon systems. They expected resistance, but nothing like what humanity had planned. Admiral Chen stood in the Global Command Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing Operation Porcupine's status worldwide. Millions of ordinary devices, from satellite dishes to cell phones, had been subtly modified over the last 2 days. Each one was harmless alone, but together they formed something unprecedented in human history. A planetary defense web created from civilian technology. Status report, she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The responses came in from around the world, each one marking another piece of humanity's improvised shield falling into place. Dr. Hayes' voice crackled over the comm from Geneva. The frequency synchronization is holding steady. They still haven't detected the pattern. We're ready on your mark. In orbit, Lieutenant Commander O'Connor and his team had transformed the International Space Station into something the aliens would never expect. Final modifications complete, he reported, his voice tight with anticipation. Though I still can't believe we're basically turning the ISS into a giant tuning fork. The alien fleet's energy readings continued to climb. Their ships were moving into attack formation, probably preparing to make an example of Earth's defiance. They'd done this hundreds of times before, crush any resistance quickly and brutally, proving the futility of fighting back. But they'd never faced a species that had mastered the art of turning disadvantages into advantages. "Incoming transmission," announced the communications officer. The alien commander's hologram appeared in the center of the room, its form shifting between crystalline geometries and what was probably meant to be an intimidating display. "Your time runs short," it announced in that same automatically translating voice. "Submit now, and we will be merciful. Resist, and your civilization will be reduced to atoms." Admiral Chen stepped forward, allowing herself a small smile. "Before you make your final decision," she replied, "you might want to take a closer look at what we've been doing for the past 48 hours. She nodded to Dr. Hayes, who initiated the first phase of Operation Porcupine. Across Earth, millions of modified devices activated simultaneously. The alien ship's perfect formation suddenly wavered as their sensors detected something they'd never encountered before. Their standardized conquest protocols had no contingency for a primitive species using their own standardized shield frequencies against them. "Impossible," the alien commander stated, its crystalline form flickering with what might have been concern. "Your technology level is insufficient for this level of coordination." The hologram turned, probably receiving reports from other ships. "What are you doing?" In low Earth orbit, O'Connor watched as the massive alien vessels began to shift position, their perfect geometric pattern breaking down for the first time. "They're realizing it now," he reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. "They're starting to understand that all their amazing technology, all their standardized protocols, they're not an advantage anymore. They're a vulnerability." The alien commander's hologram had lost its intimidating presence, its crystalline patterns shifting rapidly in what seemed like agitation. "You cannot possibly hope to." It began, but Admiral Chen cut it off. "You came here expecting to find another primitive species ready for conquest," she said, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's determination. "Instead, you found something your empire has never encountered before, a species that thrives on impossible situations. Now let me show you what happens when humanity decides to change the rules of the game." She raised her hand, ready to give the signal that would activate Operation Porcupine's final phase. In that moment, suspended between humanity's past as a planet-bound species and whatever future awaited them after this day, Earth held its breath. The next few minutes would determine not just their fate, but would send a message to the entire galaxy. Humanity would not go quietly into anyone's empire. Just as Admiral Chen was about to give the signal, Dr. Hayes' voice cut through the tension. "Wait, we're detecting something new. The energy signatures from their ships. They're changing." The holographic displays erupted with new data streams, showing unexpected patterns emerging from the alien fleet. The alien commander's crystalline form stabilized, and for the first time, there was something almost like respect in its mechanically translated voice. "Clever primitives. You very nearly succeeded, but we've conquered thousands of worlds. Did you think we wouldn't have contingency protocols?" The massive ships above Earth began to pulse with an eerie blue light. "They're adapting," Dr. Hayes reported, his voice tight with concern. "They're modifying their shield frequencies faster than we can track them. Our synchronized network, it's losing effectiveness." Across the global command center, displays showed Operation Porcupine's carefully constructed web of frequencies beginning to unravel. But Admiral Chen didn't show any sign of worry. Instead, she actually smiled. "And that's exactly what we were counting on," she said, turning to face the alien commander's hologram. "Lieutenant Commander O'Connor, are you seeing this?" From the International Space Station, O'Connor's voice came through clear and confident. "Confirmed, Admiral." They took the bait. Their adaptive protocols are active and fully committed to countering our frequency web. Just like you predicted, they're so focused on the threat they understand that they're completely blind to the one they don't. The alien commander's form flickered. What deception is this? But before it could get an answer, new alarms began blaring throughout its fleet. The massive ships that had been so focused on adapting to Earth's frequency attack suddenly detected something else, something their standardized protocols had never encountered. "You see," Admiral Chen explained, Operation Porcupine was never about our frequency web. That was just the distraction. While your ships were busy adapting to what you thought was our real defense, every radio telescope on Earth has been working together, using your own adaptive emissions against you. Dr. Hayes, would you like to explain what happens when you create a quantum resonance feedback loop using an enemy's own shield modifications? The alien commander's crystalline form shattered and reformed rapidly. Impossible. Your species cannot possibly. Its voice cut off as the first effects became visible. The perfectly orchestrated shield adaptations of the Empire's fleet were being turned into a weapon against themselves. That's the problem with standardized protocols. O'Connor added from orbit, watching as the massive ships began to struggle against their own energy emissions. They work great until you meet someone crazy enough to think outside your box. But even as humanity's true plan began to unfold, the alien fleet revealed one final surprise. The ships furthest from Earth suddenly changed configuration, transforming into something none of Earth's analysts had predicted. Emergency protocol initiated, the commander announced, its tone now carrying an edge of genuine alarm. Implementing Omega contingency. Admiral Chen's smile faded as new data flooded the command screens. The aliens weren't just adapting anymore. They were completely reconfiguring their ships into something unprecedented. This wasn't part of their standard conquest protocols. This was something else entirely. Dr. Hayes, she called out. Are you seeing this? What are they doing? The scientist's response was delayed, filled with static. They're channeling the quantum feedback into something new. Admiral, I don't think this is just about conquering Earth anymore. I think we forced them to reveal capabilities they've never had to use before. The sky above Earth began to ripple with strange energies as humanity's innovative defense strategy collided with the Empire's desperate contingency plan. In orbit, O'Connor watched in awe as space itself seemed to bend around the transforming alien ships. Admiral, he reported, whatever they're doing, it's affecting local space-time. This is way beyond anything we prepared for. Admiral Chen squared her shoulders, facing the new challenge head-on. Earth had pushed the Galactic Empire far enough that they'd abandoned their protocols entirely. Now both sides were in uncharted territory, and the next few moments would determine not just Earth's fate, but perhaps the future of the entire galaxy. The transformed alien ships now resembled massive crystalline structures, their surfaces rippling with energy that seemed to bend the light around them. Earth's carefully planned defense was facing something beyond anything humans had prepared for. But that had never stopped humanity before. Analysis. Admiral Chen demanded, her eyes fixed on the swirling patterns of energy above Earth. Dr. Hayes' voice crackled through the static. They're using our quantum feedback loop to create some sort of space-time distortion. But there's something strange about their energy pattern. It's familiar somehow. The alien commander's hologram had stabilized into a new form, more complex and less rigidly geometric than before. You forced us to reveal technologies we've kept hidden for millennia, it announced. The Omega contingency was designed for threats far beyond your level. Your resistance ends now. But Lieutenant Commander O'Connor's voice cut through the tension with unexpected excitement. Admiral, Dr. Hayes is right. That energy pattern, I've seen it before. It's in the old files from the Deep Space Research Division, from the signals we detected 30 years ago. Admiral Chen's eyes widened with sudden understanding. She turned to the alien commander, seeing it in a completely new light. Those signals weren't just random emissions, were they? They were tests. You've been preparing for this moment for decades, checking if we could detect your advanced technologies. But you made a crucial mistake. The massive ships above Earth pulsed with growing power, but now humanity knew something the Empire didn't realize they'd revealed. Dr. Hayes' voice rose with growing confidence. The quantum resonance, it's not just affecting their shields anymore. Their whole command structure is networked through those energy patterns. If we can match the frequency we detected 30 years ago, do it. Chen commanded. Across Earth, every modified device, every repurposed satellite dish, every piece of humanity's improvised defense system shifted focus. The alien ship's space-time distortion suddenly wavered as Earth's unified network targeted not their shields, but the very foundation of their command structure. The alien commander's hologram flickered violently. "What? What are you doing? This is impossible. Your species couldn't possibly." Its voice cut off as the effects of humanity's counterattack became visible. The crystalline ships began to pulse with conflicting energies as their own technology was turned against them in a way they'd never imagined possible. "That's humanity's real secret," Admiral Chen declared, watching as the mighty Empire's fleet struggled against their own technology. "We don't just think outside the box. We take the box apart, study it, and turn it into something you never saw coming." In orbit, O'Connor reported the incredible sight. Their ships, they're not just shutting down. The space-time distortion is collapsing back on itself. Whatever they were trying to do, it's becoming their biggest weakness. The alien commander's hologram stabilized one final time, but now its tone carried something new, respect mixed with disbelief. "In 10,000 years of conquest, no species has ever. You didn't just resist our standard protocols. You made us reveal our greatest weapons, then turned them against us. Perhaps we were wrong about Earth." The massive ships began powering down, their crystalline structures returning to their original forms. But as victory seemed within grasp, Dr. Hayes detected something unexpected. "Admiral, the quantum readings. They're showing something new. This isn't over." The alien commander's form shifted again, but not in defeat. "You've proven yourselves far more than primitive resistance. Earth has done what no other world ever has, forced the Empire to confront its own assumptions. And now," its voice took on a tone that sent chills through the command center, "now you've earned the right to learn the truth about why we really came to Earth." Admiral Chen watched as the alien ships repositioned themselves, no longer in attack formation but in a pattern she'd never seen before. Humanity had won their first victory against the Galactic Empire, but as the alien commander's words hung in the air, she realized this wasn't the end of Earth's story. It was just the beginning of something far bigger than anyone had imagined. The alien commander's hologram expanded, filling the command center with a vast display of the galaxy. "For millennia, we have tested countless civilizations, seeking one that could challenge us not just with weapons, but with innovation. Earth is the first to succeed." Admiral Chen studied the galactic map, noting thousands of highlighted worlds. "These are all the planets you've conquered?" she asked, but the commander's crystalline form shifted in what might have been amusement. "Not conquered," it corrected. "Protected. The galaxy faces threats far greater than our apparent empire. We needed to find civilizations capable of thinking beyond conventional boundaries. Our conquest protocol wasn't just a test of strength. It was a test of creativity, adaptation, and determination." Dr. Hayes' voice came through clearer now, the interference fading as the alien ships shifted to their new configuration. "The signals we detected 30 years ago, the standardized protocols, even the Omega contingency, it was all part of an evaluation. And humanity," the commander continued, "is the first species to not only resist our apparent conquest, but to fundamentally understand and redirect our own technology against us. You didn't just fight back. You innovated in ways we never predicted." From the International Space Station, O'Connor watched in amazement as the alien ships began broadcasting new data, scientific knowledge, star charts, and technological insights beyond human understanding. "Admiral, are you seeing this? They're sharing everything with us." "Earth is ready," the commander declared, "ready to join not an empire of conquest, but a federation of guardians. The real war hasn't begun yet, but with humanity's unique approach to problem solving, we might finally stand a chance against what's coming." Admiral Chen looked around at her fellow humans, scientists, soldiers, and civilians who had united to defend their world. "And if we refuse, if Earth chooses not to join your federation?" The commander's form shifted into something simpler, more direct. "Then we respect your choice and leave. You've earned the right to determine your own path. But first, look." The galactic display zoomed out, revealing dark areas between the stars, regions where something had extinguished all light, all life. "The true enemy consumes entire galaxies," the commander explained. We've been holding them back for eons, but we're losing ground. We need new perspectives, new ways of thinking. We need humanity's chaos. Dr. Hayes studied the data streaming in, his voice filled with wonder. Admiral, what they're showing us, it revolutionizes everything we thought we knew about physics, space travel, even reality itself. The choice is yours, the commander stated. Earth can join us as equals, bringing your unique innovation to the greatest challenge our galaxy has ever faced. Or you can remain independent, continuing your own path among the stars. Admiral Chen looked at the faces around her, seeing the same determination that had driven humanity from cave paintings to space stations. Before we decide, she said with a slight smile, I think we have some questions about these threats you've mentioned. We might have a few unconventional ideas about dealing with them. The commander's crystalline form vibrated in what could only be described as laughter. Of course you do. That's exactly why we hope you'll join us. The galactic map highlighted Earth, not as a conquest or a colony, but as something new, a beacon of innovation in a universe that desperately needed new solutions. As the sun rose over Earth's horizon, humanity faced not an ending, but a beginning. They had proved themselves not just to the galaxy, but to themselves. Whatever they chose, federation or independence, Earth had earned something far greater than victory. They had earned respect among the stars. The commander's final words echoed through the command center. Welcome to the real universe, humanity. It's been waiting for someone crazy enough to change the rules.